Hi, my name is Victoria Cash, and today I'm doing my math lesson on multiples of 10. I did this in the field, and they don't let me record, so I'm doing it at home. My overview was the teacher will use place value strategies and the associate property n times m parentheses m times 10 equals parentheses n times m parentheses times 10, or n and m are less than 10, to multiply by multiples of 10. My interdisciplinary connection was reading. My Bloom's taxonomy was knowledge, application, and evaluation. Multiple intelligence was logical, mathematics, and linguistics. Yesterday we learned about multiplying by multiples of 10 using a place value chart. Today we are learning about using place value strategies and the associate property to multiply by the multiples of 10. Tomorrow we learn how to solve two-step word problems involving multiplying single-digit factors and multiples of 10. Okay, so the first thing we did was the teacher read the book Multiplying by Minus, The Revenge of Rumpelstiltskin by Amy Calvert. I did read this in the field on the computer, so we read a page and then I touched the smartboard and the next page slid over. We asked several questions throughout the book, asking the students different questions, making sure they were understanding and following along. To review, the teacher directed students to count backwards and forwards, occasionally associating the direction of the counting. So I said, okay, let's start at 100. Now let's go backwards. So they said 90, 80, 70, 60. So up, stop, forward. And we just continued this for 2 to 3 minutes. Just making sure the students were going forward, backwards, and the correct number and saying it together. Okay. For the first activity, the students got their dry erase boards, markers, and erasers, and the teacher gave students the multiplication problem, and they would break them apart and write answers on the whiteboard. The teacher would go over each one once the students showed their answers. So I'd give them a few minutes, and I'd tell them to hold up their boards, and I would read and see who was right and who was wrong. And then I would explain why. So, for example, the first one we did was 40 times 2 equals 10. So the students should have broke that apart, saying that 4 times 10 was 40. So they could reverse that. It was 40 times 2. So they should have break apart the 40 and the 10. So it becomes 4 times 10 times 2. They should parenthesize 4 times 2, which is 8, and then leave the 10 on the outside of the parentheses, so their total was 80. They also did 40 times 4, 20 times 3, 50 times 2, and 60 times 4. After we finished those 5 problems, the students got into groups of 3 or 4, depending on the size of the class, and did the problem set worksheet. So this is the problem set worksheet. Looks like this. They did this in their groups. It did the first example for them, so then they just did 3 on this page, and the same thing on this page. It did the first one, and they did 3, and then they had to write complete sentences using the DRW process. The teacher orally, visually, and writtenly assess the students. I did great. The students did pretty good overall. Most of them got most of the answers right. For the closure, the teacher debriefed the students and then instructed them to complete the exit ticket, a review worksheet, and then a review of their work will help with assessing students understanding the concept that were presented in today's lesson and planning more effectively for the future. So they had a 2-step problem, which I graded to see how many of them could do it alone. So there's only 2 problems. They had to break one apart, and then they had to do a word problem with it. And then for homework, they had to complete this page, which is just like the problem based, and just had 4 problems. And then this page, and it just had problems. My higher order thinking questions was Gabrielle solves 20 times 40 by thinking about 10 times 8. Explain her strategy. The next one was, is the answer we got reasonable with the problem? Why or why not? And what is the best way to divide this equation? And divide it meant break apart the, like, say the number was 20, so break it to 2 times 10. For modifications and accommodations, I made sure that the kids were in the preferable seating, repeated instructions to any kids that needed that, and there was a paraprofessional in the room. For early finishers, I would go to the computer and practice multiplication facts on multiplication.com. To reteach, the learner would work with me or a paraprofessional and redo the problem-based worksheet by themselves. For the enrichment, the students would make up a problem and trade with a partner and do the correctly break apart the parentheses and put the parentheses in the right place, and then answer the question correctly. And the assessment criteria, the student and the teacher will know if the outcome has been met by written, visual, or oral observation. Successive students' learning can be determined by their ability to use the RDW process to solve the problem. They did this process in the problem set worksheet, the exit ticket worksheet, and the homework worksheet. Overall, the students did very well on the lesson. Let's see here. I felt that they struggled at the beginning with breaking apart the 20 into 2 times 10, but once they understood the purpose of it, it helped them solve the problem easier. The students really got the hang of the breaking apart, like seeing the 20 times 4 and automatically going, oh, that's 2 times 10, so 2 times 4 is this, times 10 is this. They used the RDW process very well on their problem-based worksheet and the exit ticket. I felt like 80% of the students would have passed the test if we took one that day. The students in the class needed more challenges like this for their math class. They needed bigger numbers to break apart, smaller numbers. They needed to be challenged throughout the whole lesson. Alrighty.